As the corpse of the Kurosha's leader fell to the ground, the bridge became silent. The princess couldn't do much more than sit there and stare in disbelief at the scene that had just unfolded in front of her. Her gaze went from the leader to the other soldier, over the pools of blood that had formed, until her eyes met with those of the small alien. Even though she was kneeling in the ground, Silvani was still about half a line taller than it. As the two looked at each other in silence, the alien's breathing became heavy and ragged. Its blood-stained hands started to shake. Its eyes darted left and right, as if it itself couldn't comprehend the situation. It then grabbed its head as if it were in pain, smearing purple all over its pink face. Finally, its eyes rolled up and it collapsed to the ground, its body hitting the ground with such a heavy impact that Silvani could feel the vibration in the metal floor. Then it got silent once again. The princess couldn't tell if it had been just a few tigs or a whole inva until the door opened again and Dr. Gethay entered. "Your Highness, you're alive!" She then saw the unconscious alien and rushed to its side. "Nadine! Nadine, can you hear me?" Seeing a familiar face, and more importantly, seeing her alive, finally allowed the princess to pull herself together. "Nadine, is that its name?" "Yes, she is unconscious again, but her breathing is steady, so I assume she is otherwise fine. Or well, at least I hope so. I don't know enough about her to make more than an educated guess." "I see. In that case, I would appreciate it if you could find the time to uncuff me and explain what in the name of the first ones I just witnessed." The startled doctor sprang up and hectically freed the princess. I'm very sorry, Your Highness." Gethay apologized before recounting the events with Nadine, up to the point where she killed the first Kurosha. "So, she is a civilian?" "Yes." "Yet she has experience with killing?" "She has not," the doctor corrected and continued her story. Confused, the princess cocked her head. That doesn't really coincide with what I saw." "I can guess what you mean. I was getting to that. You see, after she had calmed down, she picked up the cannon of the Kurosha she had killed, hoping she could scare the others with some warning shots. Unfortunately, while she had no trouble picking it up, her hands were too small to fire the thing. But even though she was afraid, she still wanted to help you. Around a corner, she ran into the second soldier, who had probably waited for his colleague there, and with run into, I mean ran him over, then panicked and bashed his head in. Right after that, we could hear the steps of the third one, and then she kind of changed." The doctor stopped as if she had trouble finding the right words. "You mean a frenzy? Like an onrig when it panics?" the princess asked, remembering the incident in the stables from when she was a child. No, more like the opposite. She became, I'm not sure. It was as if her brain had deleted every function besides hunting down her enemy. She was so efficient, it was honestly kind of scary. The third soldier was dead before he knew what was happening. It took Silvani a while to process what she had heard, but in the end, that sounded more or less what she had seen. "Well," she finally said, "there are still some things I don't understand, but she saved us, that much is clear, so you are the doctor. What should we do with her?" Gethay thought for a moment. As I said, I can only make educated guesses at the moment. I'd normally say we should bring her to the medical bay, but I doubt the two of us can lift 500 Vays, potentially even more. So I guess I'll see if I can find a blanket." As soon as she said that, the princess ripped her cape from her back and walked towards Nadine. "Yeah, Your Highness, you don't have to." Before she could finish the sentence, the purple Kurosha blood on Nadine's body was already soaking into the expensive fabric. "There, next." Well, cleaning the blood off will also have to wait till she wakes up. Assuming she collapsed from exhaustion, she'll probably be hungry. You know what she eats?" The doctor shook her head. "Unfortunately, no. But judging by her cell structure, she needs a lot of water, so I guess I'll get some of that for start." Silvani nodded. "You do that. I'll look for survivors. I guess it's futile to expect any guards to be alive, but I hope they spared the rest." Gethay left the bridge and made her way to the supply storage. She hated how powerless she felt, but that was just how it was. She still knew close to nothing about Nadine's physiology or what would help her and what wouldn't. She couldn't move her. She couldn't even roll her over without risking severe injuries to herself. All she could do was let her lay on the ground and hoped that she would be fine until she woke up. Compared to other vessels of the same purpose, the Star Treader was on the smaller end. It consisted of 3 floors, ignoring the engine room and cargo space, the main floor being the middle one. It contained most facilities like the bridge, conference room, medical bay, canteen, and so on. Below were the crew's quarters and above the royal chambers, although the princess preferred to spend her time on the bridge unless she was either working or sleeping. Turning around a corner, the doctor found herself in front of a closed blast door. It was completely sealed, so behind it was probably where the Kirosha had blown a hole in the hull. She sighed and turned around. Not wanting to make too big of a detour, Gitai decided to take a shortcut through the conference room. In it, she found the large table in the middle to be tipped over, as well as the mangled corpses of 3 guards behind it. It was not hard to guess what had happened here. The princess's guards were, of course, trained elites, but they had simply been outmatched. To kill a Kirosha with a handheld energy weapon, one needed to hit the same spot multiple times. What little cover a table gave could never buy enough time to achieve that when the enemy could just charge through gunfire. And that was before factoring in the heavy cannons the Kirosha carried. And then came Nadine. Gitai shuddered as she remembered. Once the alien girl had taken off her shoes, her already quiet steps had become completely silent. That, combined with her small frame, had caused Gitai to lose track of her multiple times, and she had known that Nadine had been there. For the Kirosha, death had literally come out of nowhere, and that was just Nadine. Somewhere out there was an entire species like her. Granted, going by the circumstances Nadine had described, it was likely that a true first contact wouldn't happen until many generations in the future, but it was bound to happen at some point. Finally reaching the kitchen, the doctor opened the door. "It's me, Gitai," she called just to be sure. "It is safe. I'm coming in." A head appeared behind some crates. Gitai recognized him. His name was Kabut, the ship's cook. "Lady Gitai?" he asked carefully. "What do you mean it's safe? Did we win?" "That we did. I'm glad to see you alive." But, he stammered, "I heard the guards shout something about the Kirosha." "Yes, we were attacked by a Kirosha strike team." "And we won?" he asked, confused. Not that she could blame him. "Long story. Just believe it for now. Her Highness is looking for survivors. You should go to her." Hearing that the princess was alive seemed to give him some courage. He came out from his hiding spot and left. Once she had found a small canister of water, Gitai made her way back to the bridge, only to realize that she had already forgotten about the closed blast door. Quietly cursing herself, she turned around and went on another detour. On her way, she found another group of corpses. Not all of them were guards. She took out her notepad and recorded the names of the fallen, then glanced at the chronograph. It had already been a whole invite since she had left Nadine, so she hurried back. When she reached the bridge, the girl seemed to have disappeared. At the place where she had been laying, there was now a puddle of a strange, light brown liquid. It gave off a putrid smell, and the arm the Kirosha leader, which was also half covered in it, seemed to get corroded by it. "Nadine, I'm here," a soft voice answered, sounding even meeker than before. Gitai turned around. The small alien was sitting in a corner between some consoles, the royal cape wrapped tightly around her. The doctor hurried to close the distance between them and knelt down in front of her. The blood on her face had mostly dried up, and the spots that were still clean seemed to have slightly changed color, now being more pale than before. "How are you?" I honestly don't know," she said with a slight tremble in her voice. "It's like I should feel something, but don't I?" Before she could finish, the doors to the bridge opened, and Princess Silgvani, flanked by 2 surviving attendants, entered. "Her Highness on—" "Don't bother!" The princess interrupted the attendant, annoyed, before looking at Gitai and Nadine. "Change of plan! We're abandoning ship!"